Coming up on today's podcast, me and my podcast guest go in depth talking about the new miracle supplement on the block with a very strange name, Spermidine. Yeah, you heard that right. It's you might want to Google it. It's maybe not what you think. It is the new miracle aging supplement, and it is coming up today on Zestology. We hack our age, we boost our dopamine and oxytocin and serotonin and endorphins, and we boost our own happiness chemicals in general. And yep, we talk Spermidine. Hi, I'm Tony. I'm an author, presenter at Sky Sports, and years ago I went to the jungle and got ill. Very ill. So this is my podcast adventure to find more energy. It's packed with biohacking, science, health tech, supplements, and some of the most well-known experts on the planet.
This is something I spent 4 months of my life doing with electrodes glued to my head so that you can do a lifetime worth of meditation.
Decide what you don't give a fuck about, which is something you don't care about.
Some of it gets quite out there.
I had some stem cells sent up to my house that I had stored, and then I injected myself with mannitol.
And we even hack hangovers.
Alcohol is poisonous. So is water and oxygen in the wrong dosage.
So that's my podcast, Zestology. Live life with energy, vitality, and motivation. Yeah, welcome back to Zestology then. I know I've covered Spermidine a couple of times in the past, but I think I've got you interested, haven't I? And Zora the Explorer is coming up a little bit later on, and I'm going to tell you how I've been boosting my own happiness chemicals as well. But I wanted to start with a great post that got me thinking from the excellent Ryan Carter at Live Vitae on Instagram. He's a friend of mine anyway, and he's been talking about boosting happiness chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. And did you know that most of these neurotransmitters can be improved by simply being immersed in nature? I thought it was a good place to start for Zestology today, because I've been boosting my own happiness chemicals, and also I think Zora the Explorer, my podcast guest today, she's well into all this stuff as well. Now Ryan suggests bathing in sunlight, embracing environmental temperature changes and stimulants like the cold sea or a hot spring, moving, such as lifting something heavy or sprinting. It's just very natural to move a lot. And also being connected with loved ones in nature and just being connected with loved ones in general. Something which a lot of us have struggled to do over the past 12 months or so. And I'm going to talk quite a bit with next week's podcast guest about as well. Exciting side note, me and Ryan are working on a project together. I can't really tell you what it is at the moment, but I'll tell you a little bit more about that soon. But I wanted to tell you about how I've been getting the happiness chemicals going, because I've joined this thing in London called Table Tennis Fight Club. And it is the most fun you can have in 2 hours. Oh, it's just amazing. So basically, I love table tennis and ping pong, and actually sometimes present it for Sky as well. And I've been looking for a way to play a little bit more. And you turn up and you do loads of training and loads of drills, and then you play a lot of matches, and it all gets pretty serious, let me tell you, at Table Tennis Fight Club. And to be a proper, fully fledged member of the Fight Club, I need to challenge 2 people who are existing members and beat them. And then I'll be a part of Table Tennis Fight Club. Now, I'm well aware that probably the first rule of Table Tennis Fight Club is not to talk about Table Tennis Fight Club, but here I am talking about it. I don't think it is, actually. But it's just such good fun. And you know what? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of movement involved, and I've always found table tennis a very enjoyable sport to play as well. But it does release the happiness chemicals as well. I feel so good after doing it. Quite tired. 2 hours of full-on exercise. It's not to be sniffed at. But it definitely releases the happiness chemicals. So how are you doing that by getting a little bit more natural this week? That's the question for you. Is it somehow getting in sunlight, embracing environmental temperature changes, moving, like table tennis, joining the Fight Club and not talking about it, or being connected with loved ones? So the new format for Zestology is that I talk about a few of the things that I've been looking at in my own life in terms of optimizing energy, vitality, health, wellness, and then sometimes interviews and sometimes not. And Zora the Explorer is coming up in just a moment. But before that, I wanted to ask, is your home making you sick? Because spring, this is going out in spring, it's perfect time for mold to grow. And it is warm and damp here in London at the moment. Not that warm, but a little bit warm and damp. And I have been looking into the possibility we've got mold under our shed. I spend quite a lot of time working out in the shed. We've got a sort of garden shed office thing, and it's fantastic. You might call it a shoffice. But I've just got a feeling there might be mold. I mean, look, it's just a hunch, but there's been a few times that I've worked in there recently and I've had a splitting headache afterwards, and I can't work out why it is. Might be something else. Has anyone else had the same problem with mold under the shed or mold in general? I have been using the Air Angel as much as possible. There's an article on the website about this, on my website, Air Angel. It's made by Hypo Air, and it is a brilliant air purifier that I have spoken about on this podcast a few times. It even clears COVID off surfaces in 4 hours. It is that good an air purifier. So I've been using the Air Angel as much as possible, but sometimes, and when I was getting the headaches, I forgot to use it. So that little device is one of my favorites. You might want to check it out. And if you have had a problem like this, I would love to hear from you, because I don't know if it's all in my head or if that's actually going on, and whether my home is making me a little bit sick or not. Right then, Zora the Explorer is interested in evidence-based techniques that slow the aging process to defy our age. She travels the world looking for clues, and I love her work. It's been a real pleasure to get to know her, actually. And we started on this interview by talking about the miracle aging supplement that has a very strange name. Now, let's talk about some of the things you've discovered on your travels then. I wanted to ask you about Spermidine, wonderfully named supplement that people talk about. And I was covering this on my podcast fairly recently. A company's got in touch with me in the UK and has offered to send me some.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, firstly, I noticed that the ingredients did have gluten in them in this particular supplement. And I don't eat gluten. And they've said, do you know what? It's really quite a small, it's 40 parts per million or something, and it's fine. And tell me a bit more about Spermidine.
Oh my gosh, I've become the Spermidine queen. I got introduced to this through a friend of mine, and her friend, well, it's a long story anyways, I introduced me to it, and she said, you should try it. And I said, so I started to look into it. And one of this friend of mine goes deep into the research. Her name's Amy Lamotte, and she's got a great Instagram channel, and she's just really scientific based. So I trusted her, first of all, because I know she did all the research, and then she'd keep throwing stuff at me. And I was amazed at what I found. And I said, how come people aren't talking about this? What? But then after you get introduced to Spermidine, I'm sure you know, suddenly everyone's talking about it. And it's just that, I don't remember what's the name for that effect, but that's the effect that once you hear it, it seems it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And so as I'm investigating, I said, this is amazing, because the claim that it has is, well, with Spermidine is the big one, because it does a lot of things, is the autophagy. And autophagy is our cellular cleanup. And this is really important for aging. The longest living people in the world are going deep into autophagy. And so you think, well, wait a second, if I want to live a longer life and I'm doing all this cellular cleanup, and it hits, I think it's 6 hallmarks out of the 9 of aging, and there may be more hallmarks coming along the way, but it hits 6 of them. And the only other one that does, I don't know if it's the same or one more, is metformin. Everything else is hitting 1 or 2 of those hallmarks. I said, This is quite powerful stuff. And so when I started to take it, I started to, first of all, before I recommend anything, I try it myself. I'm my own guinea pig. And then I said, okay, well, nothing's really bad happened to me. I talked to other people who've been taking it. And I said, okay, well then let's share it with the world. So I would mention it or talk about it, and people would want to try it. And I'm always asking for their feedback. I said, if you buy this, like, you've got to give me your feedback, because it's a new thing. Just because it works for me or works for 2 people doesn't mean it works for a whole lot of other people. And it seems as a lot of other people are having just different effects. And that would make sense, considering, maybe we're all very different. And we all have different gut microbes, and just maybe we have different problems that we need to solve. So I won't see energy, because I think I'm pretty energized. Like, I know a lot of people have that effect, but I wouldn't notice that because I'm not drained.
So you don't notice extra energy when you take Spermidine?
No, not me personally. No. But other people do.
Okay.
So that's the thing. And again, are you really measuring it correctly? When you're biohacking, right, you got to kind of eliminate all the other factors, and it's really hard. It could be something's changed in the air, right? Something's different. And you may go, oh, is it Primodine or Spermidine? Because I take the brand Primodine. And that one does have weight germ. And that one's, we can talk about the weight germ thing, the gluten thing later. But basically, you want to, I try to eliminate factors, but I really don't. And I mean, it can't eliminate everything. It can just kind of take a guess. It could be the Spermidine, could be something else.
So do you feel better for taking it, or are you taking it for anti-aging, or sort of 30 years down the line? What's the reason for you taking it, and what are you noticing?
For me, I take supplements. Most of my supplements I take are prophylactic. I see them, I try them, and I rotate them as well. And I, depending on what my needs are, like right now, okay, vitamin C, extra vitamin C, a bit of zinc is good during this pandemic. But I may drop that after a while, or just go to normal levels. Now with the Primodine, I take it. I said, well, what can I see? Like, what differences can I see? I can measure, see, is my skin better or brighter or more youthful? Is my eyelashes growing longer? These are some of the claims that they've been receiving. So I said, what are people seeing? Like, what should I look out for? And for me, my biggest issue is I've got a hip impingement and some osteoarthritis. And so there have been studies that are coming out, or at least they're not out yet, that are studying osteoarthritis and Spermidine. So although the results aren't there yet, and there's still so much to be studied with Spermidine yet, but the good thing is that it's starting to happen in humans, because most of the studies are done in animals. And so we'll see. But so far, I see improvement. But also, on the other hand, I'm doing a lot of other things too. Yes. So when I try to hack something that bothers me, I mean, it's painful. It's no fun to have this. And it just gets worse as you get older, but it doesn't have to, right? So I'm trying to hack this. So I don't have time to wait and just pull out all the other factors. That's just me. It's not a true biohacker in that sense, like this experiment. I just don't have time to wait. I want to get it done so I can get dancing again.
I mean, I hope that, I really hope that helps with that. In terms of, I was expecting that you might be a little bit more enthusiastic about Spermidine than you are. I mean, I'm sort of thinking, well, I could take it, but will I notice anything?
No, I think definitely. And, it's, I have to say, if there's one supplement to take, that would be the one, because it hits so many hallmarks of aging. That is the one thing. I still take it, but so many of my supplements, I can't, do I really know? When you're optimized, it's really hard. It doesn't mean that I can't improve. I'm always looking for improvement. And I listened to your podcast with Dr. Sandra Kaufman, and she put it brilliantly, like in the sense that you don't feel aging. You don't feel it because it's so slow day to day to day to day. Yeah. But what I do know about Spermidine, for example, in certain other supplements too, is people who do have an issue brain fog, fatigue, the gray hair, the peeing at night, or things that really bother them, they notice a difference. Yeah. And that's what excites me about this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still, I see improvement with my osteoarthritis. I'm really excited. I'm not giving up my Primodine for sure. But I get even more energized when I see other people's issues really being solved. And that gives me more confidence in saying, I think this stuff works.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just looking up. Oh, I don't know where it is now. But anyway, the company that has offered me the Spermidine, I will try it out. And, well, I'll let you know and I'll let everyone know what happens. And just one last thing on that. Did you feel all right with the gluten? Because I just avoid gluten. So,
yeah. I'm not a big gluten person. I'm food agnostic. So I just know what works for me. And I don't seem to have a problem with gluten, but doesn't mean I'm just going to eat a bunch of it. So but I do try to avoid those types of foods. And I didn't feel anything. I do have clients who do. And so when she wants to try or he wants to try it, I said, look, let's just start slowly. And they'll take one capsule and then there's no problem, and then two, and then no problem. And then they're on 3 without a problem. There's so minute amounts. Yeah. And the reason that you have to take it with the wheat germ is, I understand it's more bioavailable, but with Primodine, for example, they defat the wheat. Yes. And if you don't defat the wheat, then the oils can be oxidized, and then you could be doing more damage than harm. And that goes the same for omegas and a lot of things, because you don't want to have a rancid product that could be bad for you. And they also put some prebiotics, which I don't think other Spermidine, there's so few Spermidine products out there in the market. It's so new, but they have a prebiotic, which is great because what they're trying to do is help you make your own endogenous Spermidine. We produce our own. So that's amazing. So it's like a kickstart for your own production. So I love the fact that I really asked a lot of questions about the Primodine before I started it. And when I started recommending, I was like, I just have to be sure it's safe and efficacious. And they keep throwing this stuff at me. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. So I'm really excited about it. So that's why I keep sharing it. And I really do want to hear, if you try it, then please give your feedback. And anyone here is listening on Spermidine of any kind of brand, I want to hear your thoughts. Does it work?
And then aging in general, I know you said you've got a bit of a problem with your hip, but, generally speaking, you seem like a very energized person. I'm not going to ask you your age, but you obviously got grown-up kids and you're living a great life, as I can tell from following you on social media and following what you do. What are your 3 best kind of hacks or tips or tweaks that people might want to employ? It might be stuff they've heard before. They might be new. Might be a Spermidine type hack. What would you say?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm 50, and so my channel is all about helping women over 50, live their better life with more energy. Now, the hacks. It's so funny because there's so many hacks out there, and you can do so many things. And I love explaining it this way. And I stole this from Natalie Nidham, who's a fantastic podcaster as well, and a clinical nutritionist and biohacker. And she says, and I love it, you can't fix the plumbing in a house that's on fire. If somebody comes to you and says, let's just do this. Well, let's put out the fire, or at least try to do it at the same time, because technically, you could try to fix the plumbing, but why? The house is friggin' on fire. So when we look at our bodies like that and full of inflammation and glycation and oxidation and, just kind of falling apart, like throwing some supplements at it, it's not going to do a whole lot, maybe a little bit, but why not put out the fire? And that's where if you want energy, let's stop doing these things that are robbing us of energy in the first place, right? That's the fire, and this could be, the crap food diet that you're on, or it could be hanging around negative people. It could be the toxic mold. It could be you're in a bad relationship or in a bad job, shift work. I mean, you're not getting enough sleep. So many things that are robbing us of energy. So let's just, get that out of our lives. Let's take the fire out. And then you build this foundation. I was like explaining like a pyramid, the very foundation of the pyramid would be those factors that we all know about, the hacks, like the simple, the low hanging fruit hacks in terms of changing your diet for whatever that may be that works for you, moving in a way that works for you, and getting the necessary exercise, sleep and stress management, and your community, your friendships, your connections. I mean, these are super important, your purpose in life. Get that foundation. The middle of the pyramid are the supplements and the PRP and the therapies and acupuncture, all this, whatever hacks you want to have. And then the very top of the pyramid is like those, the ultimate biohacks that go a little bit more advanced. So that middle part and the top of the pyramid are just really not going to work, or they move the needle a little bit if you don't have that foundation. So really like to emphasize that foundation is super important for getting your energy back. So it's cleaning up the house, or like put the house on out of fire, and then you could start building on top of it. And I would say if there was just one thing really for the energy, I really go back to your purpose in your life, who you are, knowing who you are, and the connections that you have. Think about, when you think about yourself, and if you're kind of stuck, and my thing is gerontology. And so I'm dealing with people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And so if you are, say, in your 50s and your kids leave the house and you're a mom and that was your purpose in life, like, you're lost. You're not sure where's your direction. What is going to motivate you to keep living? You've got to find a new purpose or a new role. If you were changing jobs and you just don't have that job yet, think about, build a new career. What's going to energize you? Well, that new job. Think about it. When you have a new job, you get so excited. If you have a new relationship, if you have your first love, like when you first met your wife, like how much energy did that bring you? You didn't even need sleep. You could probably eat a crap diet and you still had plenty of energy. These are super powerful energizers that we tend to forget. So I would say, nurturing your network, knowing your purpose in life, and who you are. Yeah. What do you want in life?
Just interrupting this podcast for one moment to remind you that my podcast partner for June is Magnesium Breakthrough. And I know that over the last couple of months, I've become, really, really into it, actually. It's absolutely one of my go-to supplements. I'm going away on holiday soon, and that will be one of the things that is definitely packed. But I thought it might be useful just to read a couple of reviews on Magnesium Breakthrough as well, because, if I look at this one from Marie, I'd give this 100 stars if I could. Within 1 month of use, I went from daily struggles with restless legs, constipation and poor sleep to no struggles with any of that. I know it sounds dramatic and far-fetched, but it's true. And have a look at Bill, who's obviously been using an Oura ring, and he says, on the first night of taking Magnesium Breakthrough, my deep sleep jumped up 2 hours, which has been the highest reading so far from my Oura ring. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, or staying asleep, one of the best things you can possibly do is start getting enough magnesium. And if I ever do struggle with sleep, and sometimes it happens, especially in the middle of the night, you wake up and you can't go back to sleep, I will pop a Magnesium Breakthrough then. There are 7 unique forms of magnesium in Mag Breakthrough, and if you head to magbreakthrough.com/zestology, use the code zestology10 during checkout, you can save 10%. And that's magbreakthrough.com/zestology. Use the code zestology10. And if you're in the UK, go to bioptimizers.co.uk and use that same discount code. I really think let's just have a look at one more review before we go back to the show. This is from Amanda, who says, I fall asleep much faster and stay asleep now until normal waking hours. You have a customer for life. Wow. It's magbreakthrough.com/zestology. You get a good chunk off there. Back to the show. You know that I have a new book out, don't you? I think one's winging its way to... Oh, you got it. Got
there. It right here.
Oh, that is on brand. Well done.
I love it. And I went through it all. It's so super easy to read.
Thank you.
I put a review on Amazon. I'm so excited about it.
That's really kind. Thank you.
You've got them all. You've got all the hacks here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you were talking about the pyramid, and I think that I've covered all those different layers of the pyramid in the book. And what's been very interesting about some of the reviews on Amazon, which have been lovely, and thanks for writing a review as well, is, one or two people have said, yeah, I love the more advanced stuff. Some of the basics I knew already. And I think you still have to cover them. And often my favourite Zestology episodes and podcasts in general and books as well, and some of the posts that you put on Instagram, for example, sometimes it's just a reminder of the basics that's the most important stuff. As you say, it's all very well going for the Spermidine, but if you're not getting enough light in the morning, and I haven't been outside yet, so I do need to go and do some exercise after that, that's more important, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You got it right. And you got great hacks in there. I absolutely love it. And you do talk about a lot about your, the community and your purpose and your why and your brain and all this stuff is I'm so glad that I found that in the book too.
Oh, thanks.
So
Yeah,
well
well,
done.
we're recording a podcast for you as well, aren't we?
Yes,
Separate.
I'm excited to have you on my podcast.
Yes.
Exactly. And you can share a lot more about that. So I'm really excited to show the world. When I find something good like Primodine, I tell the world. And now I found this great book, When Life is a Bit Meh, You Need Energy. I love that title. And I want everybody to know about it too.
When we record a podcast for you, can you have a nice vista of Marbella in the background so I can live vicariously through you and see what's going on there? Because it's been a long time since we've been on holiday, and I'd love to just see a bit of Marbella even if I can't go there.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Anytime. It's mostly, I think there's like 360 days of sunshine here. You're not far. You're actually pretty close. So hope that you come down and I'd love to show you Marbella.
Yeah.
If I'm here, right? Because
exactly.
the moment we can travel, I'm going to be on a plane again.
Might be in Vietnam or Hong Kong or somewhere else.
Exactly.
So, Zora, what is, I ask everybody, what is one book and one tip that you would have for living with more energy? So one book that you would recommend that's had an impact on you and one tip for more energy.
Okay. Well, other than When Life is a Bit Meh book. Okay. And it taught you mean a book about for energy in particular or just a book
do you know what? It can be absolutely anything. Some people recommend, sometimes I would recommend a fiction book simply because reading fiction gives me a lot of energy, but it would just be a book that has had an impact on you.
There's so many books. I'm 50. And so I've gone through a lot of books. It's really, really hard. If I want to sound smart, I would say Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. It's an very old book. Which talks about objectivism, but it's pretty hefty. It's like 1,000 pages. And but it's been life-changing, and I read it when I was 20. So I think that would be the smart answer. But in terms that really kind of impacted me, I can't choose one. And I'm not even a big reader. I read a lot of stuff, but I'm also born into a household of intellectuals, and my husband is an intellectual, reading a ton. So I just feel like I don't read enough. Mm-hmm. But I think what kind of flipped me around a little bit more, I've always been interested in health and wellness, and it's an old book, but it was called Vital Signs of Cancer by Zandria Williams. And it's because my mother died of cancer. And so sort of obsessively reading everything that I could do to not get cancer. And I thought that was quite an impactful book. So, but can I say one more?
Yeah.
That I think has been impactful in my clients, because I think that would be more useful is, and I had, at the time I was dealing with a lot of younger people with childhood trauma. And I just wrote my final paper for this my master's program. So, these are adverse childhood experiences are actually very impactful on your health. And I read Joe Dispenza's Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself. And when I went through that, I was like, oh, I felt really empowered. And I didn't realize, how much power we have in our brain. But it was kind of life-changing for these young women. And they really liked that book. So I would say, that could be a life-changing book for many people.
Okay, great. And then what about one tip for living with more energy and vitality? I
would say, oh my gosh, know yourself and what you want, know who you are. And that's a journey, right? But it is super important, because when you know who you are and you know what you want, you just go get it and nothing stops you. It's that energy. And it's even when you don't have the hacks, like you have it. Not that you shouldn't let all those go, but really working on yourself. And don't worry about anyone else. Just worry about yourself. We have our nose in everyone else's business. And I think it's none of your business. Just worry about yourself.
Yeah. Especially and over the last year or so, I feel there's a lot of COVID virtue signaling going on. Where the neighbours twitching behind their net curtains. Oh, look, they've had someone round. That's against the rules, whatever it is. It's all your own business, isn't it? Zora, absolutely lovely to talk to you. Where can people find out more about you and everything you do?
They can go to hackmyage.com. That's my website. But I'm very active on Instagram, always Hack My Age, also on Instagram and Facebook as well. So easy to find. If you can remember Hack My Age, then you will find me. Also, people can find me if you just Google Zora the Explorer. That's my name as well. People gave that name to me a long time ago. I'll just pop up somewhere on Google, but you'll be able to find me all those places.
Good stuff. It's lovely to talk. Thank you for coming on the podcast, and we'll chat again on yours soon. Right then, that is pretty much it, but I would encourage you to follow Zora on Instagram at hackmyage. She is fantastic, and I am very shortly doing a live podcast with her on her channels and on her podcast as well. And my podcast partners for June are, once again, Magnesium Breakthrough. You can check out the impressive discounts on the page magbreakthrough.com/zestology. I use it every single day. And it's been one of those sort of sleeper supplements for me. I started off using it a bit, and now I just use it all the time. I take one just after lunch, and I take one at night before sleep. And the other night I had one in the middle of the night, because I woke up and I sort of had restless legs. Do you ever get that when you're a bit, I don't know, I was just a bit overstimulated, I think, and my legs were just couldn't relax. So I had one in the middle of the night as well, and then I was fine. If you head to magbreakthrough.com/zestology, use the code zestology10 for all sorts of big discounts. And if you're in the UK, go to bioptimizers.co.uk, same discount code, and let me know how you get on with your Mag Breakthrough. magbreakthrough.com/zestology. Now, next week, coming up, I'll be talking about looking good, healthy skin, sunscreens that don't make you look like a clown, and eating elk and avocado. This is our mission. We need to find some elk in London. How do we do this? I'm going on a mission over the next week, and we will talk about it in 7 days' time on this podcast. So please do join me then.